This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Wednesday, November 22nd, 2023. I'm Kate Sharon. State and local agencies are pushing the gas on plans to forge a new highway in southern Indiana, aimed at increasing connectivity to Indianapolis and expressways. The Mid-States Corridor has been a long-proposed idea to accelerate travel times from the industrial hubs of Jasper and Huntingburg and has seen new life after renewed public and private sector pushes resulted in landmark studies for the project, despite significant community pushback questioning the project's motivations. Du Bois Strong President Ed Cole.
We see it as that the future growth of Du Bois County and southern Indiana is really dependent upon our ability to connect to the rest of the state, especially the state capital.
A second study is underway diving into refining the highway's path and solidifying plans to move forward. Business leaders say the corridor would be a game changer when it comes to shipping and economic growth. Meanwhile, residents concerned with the project believe it's not necessary, saying it is propelled by interests of major industries and does not have adequate reason or goal to demolish houses or farmland. Corridor opponent Teresa Kendall.
None of us have ever advocated that, 231 couldn't be improved. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was always, if you use that same footprint, don't go outside that footprint, because everyone has built their lives around that road footprint.
Purdue University has agreed to pay $737,000 to resolve allegations that a former Purdue professor falsified and fabricated data related to federally funded research. The allegations pertain to Alice C. Chang, formerly known as Chun-Ju Chang, a former professor of cancer biology and pharmacology at Purdue's College of Veterinary Medicine. According to a November 17th press release from the Office of U.S. Attorney Clifford D. Johnson of the Northern District of Indiana, between February 2014 and June 2020, Chang falsified and fabricated data in 2 published research papers and 17 grant applications that were submitted to the National Institutes of Health and the Department of the Army. Mishawaka leaders are betting on big development with the construction of a 220,000 square foot youth sports complex that has been years in the making. The $38 million Mishawaka Fieldhouse project is expected to house 10 multi-purpose athletic courts and 2 turf fields, along with concessions, bleachers, and space for a medical tent on the city's north side near Juday Creek Golf Course. Visit South Bend Mishawaka Executive Director Jeff Jarnecki.
As the idea started to be discussed and contemplated, it wasn't so much how to do it, it was where to do it. And Mishawaka had this incredible vision in terms of how that land and the northeast side of their community could be used and developed.
When completed, developers estimate the facility could bring in a total of 1.5 million visitors annually and solve for a perennial problem in St. Joseph County, filling hotel beds during the week and the off-season for University of Notre Dame football. It is also expected to bring rapid growth to North Mishawaka. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
IBJ Media, Inside Indiana Business, and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation invite you to Engage Central Indiana, presented by CareSource, Indiana University, and Old National Bank. You won't want to miss our fireside chat with Governor Holcomb and the Michael A. Carroll Award presentation to Mitch Daniels. Plus, we'll dive into the important issues shaping the region's economy. It's December 6th at the JW Marriott in downtown Indy. RSVP at ibj.com/engage.
The Indiana Supreme Court on Wednesday sided with the state legislature over a Ball State student who wants a refund for his pandemic-interrupted classes in early 2020. College student Keller Melowitz filed a class action complaint against the university and its Board of Trustees in Marion County Superior Court in May 2020, accusing them of, quote, breach of contract and unjust enrichment over decisions to cancel in-person classes and close campus facilities due to the pandemic. The General Assembly, however, enacted a retroactive law in 2021 that prohibited class action complaints against state universities related to COVID-19. Instead, Milowitz and any other students impacted would have to file individual suits. The decision also reinforced that Milowitz can sue for his own damages, but isn't entitled to class action status on behalf of other students. The Indiana Department of Education has awarded nearly $15 million to 72 school corporations as part of its Competitive Science of Reading grant. The grant was awarded to schools seeking to adopt or advance a science of reading approach to literacy instruction, which focuses on teaching phonics, phonetic awareness, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Funding for the grant was provided through the state's biannual budget. The 72 school corporations awarded grant funds served a combined 65,000 students in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade, which are years often identified by educators as key time for students' development of literacy skills. Indiana's 12 casinos saw an overall year-over-year revenue drop for the 8th consecutive month in October. However, analysts at PlayIndiana.com report the state's sports betting handle increased 6.3% to nearly $430 million. According to figures from the Indiana Gaming Commission, Indiana casinos raked in $169.5 million in adjusted gross revenue last month, down 10.3% from October 2022 and $7.3 million lower than September. The revenue decrease is being attributed largely to a 5.4% month-over-month drop in slot winnings, which totaled $153.3 million in October. Indiana has received $690,000 as part of a multi-state settlement with Global Financial Services Corporation Morgan Stanley Smith Barney LLC to resolve a data security lawsuit. Morgan Stanley was alleged to have compromised its customers' personal information through a failure to properly erase unencrypted data on devices and dispose of them. The company hired a moving company with no data experience to complete the work. Sagamore Institute president and former state senator Teresa Lubbers is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond, available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Kate Sharon for Inside Indiana Business, Radio on Demand.